You know, one thing that in performance we learned over the last probably 30 or 40 years is that everybody responds slightly different to training, you know. So there are people that need to train more, people that need to train less. And so that is one way to monitor improvement. So normally we test people every 2-3 months. We give them a schedule for the 6-8 weeks in between. And then when they come back and we retest, we saw where the improvements happen and where they still need to work. So testing is actually a good way to guide training, you know. We have a pretty comprehensive program. And I like, to work with the athletes. So I do everything that can impact their performance, taking care of their problem if they have asthma, their medical condition, and then I monitor their training, through testing. So we work with all kinds of athletes, any level. We have people with medical condition, and then we have the top athletes in the ranking in the world, and we work with them here at TOSH in preventive medicine, optimizing their performance. I would almost say that it would help more just the weekend warrior, because the weekend warrior doesn't have much time, so he has to take the maximum out of the time they have available. So, in training, one of the things that are key factor for success is training at the right intensity. So by monitoring through testing how you're doing, we can adjust your paces or your power level. And so we can keep you training at the intensity that is hard enough to get the maximum without pushing you into overtraining. And, I'm a weekend warrior too, and I have to say that, when you have limited time for training, you want to make sure that you do it right. Pros are the easiest to train because they have full availability of time and resources, and they don't have to work when they're done with training, so they can rest. So a mistake that we see often is that the weekend warrior trying to copy the pros, but then they don't have the time to rest like the pros. And so I think the weekend warrior are probably the group that needs more attention. So there are a few ways to measure the human engine in different sport activities. So, normally the testing that you pick to evaluate an athlete is different depending on the level of the athlete, especially on the sport and the phase of training you are at. Lactate is kind of, for endurance sport, is kind of way to measure the level of fatigue in your muscle. So 20 years ago, we thought that lactate was the cause of fatigue, the cause of burning your muscle. Now we know that is not the cause, but lactate is a marker of fatigue. So we can, by measuring your lactate, as you see very simply, by poking your earlobe, we can have an idea about how much fatigue you're building inside your muscles. And so what this lactate measurement does is basically allowing us to look inside your muscle in a very simple and non-invasive way. Then, the next test we'll do is measuring your VO2 Max. That is basically like to measure the size of a car engine. So, you drive a 3-liter car, 4-liter cars. We all have the gift of an aerobic engine. Some people have a bigger gift. Some people have a smaller gift. So we measure that to characterize you as an athlete. If you're an athlete with a high aerobic quality, average, or below average. So this test can help to select talent, to guide your training, to monitor improvement, and also for medical reason, they give you a way to study the body response to the stress of exercise. A good VO2 max test has to last somewhere between 6 and 12 minutes, because if you go up too fast with the speed, you don't achieve your VO2 max. So if you do longer than 12 minutes, what happens is that your muscle fatigue before you achieve your VO2 max. The VO2 max doesn't change much with training if you're already a fit guy. So someone like you that train most of the days of the week, between the best and the worst in the season, we see fluctuation of 5%. That's why this is a great first test to have an idea. or in people that start training after a long time that didn't exercise, because then we can see improvement of 15, 20, 25%. The other test, the test we did before, the lactate, is more sensitive to improvement in fit people. So in that test, we can see improvement of 20%, sometimes even more in the same season. So normally, the first time we test athlete, we try to do both, so we get the whole picture. But then to monitor improvement over time, we do the lactate that is also easier on the athlete because it's sub-maximal. We don't have to take them to the very top. So we use this to assess your training zone. Normally in healthy people, the zone that we assess through these tests are within 2-3 beats from the one we get from the VO2 Max test. Then, something that maybe you like to know, you score a VO2 Max of 53 milliliter of oxygen per kilo per minute. This is, at this altitude is normally around 6-8%, some people even 10% lower than what you would show if we were testing you at sea level. So if you correct to sea level, your VO2 Max is around 60. So normal person are 25, 35, above 40, you're fit, above 50, you're competitive. You're in that range at altitude. So if I transfer this test down to sea level and you score those numbers there, you'll be in the 60s. So it'll be very, very good aerobically. 5 seconds, I'm gonna start taking you down slowly.